to go to Rwanda. Originally, there were going to be 130 people on it. In the end, there were 7 as I was on air live last night, and by the time we got to 10:05, nobody was going. But I think it's right and proper that we do talk about Rwanda because the government are determined to send planes. They may or may not go. But let's find out, what sort of country is Rwanda? Is it actually an appropriate place to send people? Well, Phil Clark is Professor of International Politics at the School of Oriental and African Studies. And Phil, you've been a big student of Rwanda and what has happened there. Just remind our viewers and listeners what actually happened there 30 years ago.
So Rwanda is a post-genocide society. In 1994, about 800,000, mostly Tutsi, were killed in the space of 100 days. But since the genocide, Rwanda has recovered really remarkably. It's a very peaceful, a very stable place. The economy is beginning to surge. So these asylum seekers who may be sent to Rwanda will face, I think, a very warm welcome. They'll find a very peaceful and stable environment. But my concern about this policy is not about Rwanda. It's the fact that the UK is reneging on its responsibilities to deal with asylum seekers here on UK territory. So my concern is the policy, not the fact that these individuals will be sent to Rwanda.
So Rwanda, you think, is a decent country. I mean, 1 or 2 British press who've been to Rwanda say that free speech is somewhat restricted there compared with this country. Is that a fair criticism?
It is a fair criticism. Rwanda is a very closed political environment. It's very difficult for the political opposition to function there. It's very difficult for critical journalists to have their voice heard. So there are certainly human rights concerns about the general environment in Rwanda. But maybe the thing that's most important for the asylum debate is that Rwanda has been hosting refugees and asylum seekers from the neighbouring countries for the last 20 years. In fact, there are 150,000 Congolese and Burundian refugees in Rwanda at the moment, living in very humane conditions. So again, my concern with the UK's policy is not Rwanda.
No, that's fine, but it's interesting to see what you say about Rwanda and the extraordinary way in which it's come on from that appalling genocide. When it comes to how we deal with refugees, we have to draw a distinction between who qualifies as a genuine refugee and who is coming here purely as an economic migrant. And here's my observation. I've been out into the English Channel. I've been watching this develop over the course of the last 3 years. The last time I was out with the GBNews film crew, as the boat crossed the line into British waters, we filmed them throwing their iPhones into the sea. We actually filmed this and other documents that were being thrown away. If these were genuine refugees, why would they hide their identity?
I think these are genuine refugees in most cases. They are genuine asylum seekers in most cases. My concern about this UK...
why would they hide their identity? What are they,